Got horse questions? We've got answers for you on Holistic Horseworks Live.
Why does my horse keep coming up lame?
Why don't these hoofs ever stay even?
Why does my horse bite when being saddled?
My horse has been on injections, chiropractic, and acupuncture for years. Why isn't anything working?
Every show, we work with real horse owners on their real horse problems. Watch as we identify what's really going on with these horses, and you'll walk away knowing exactly what to do with your horse. Join us for Holistic Horseworks Live on the first Wednesday of every month at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. Register now. It's free to attend. HolisticHorseworks.com/live.
This is Ice. He'll be 9 April 19th. He was started as a reining horse. Then I use him for ranch riding. And he's just having some issues in the left hind. He is high-low with navicular changes in the left, according to my vet. And he stays stiff in the neck.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and talk about this. When I walk up to a horse like this, I had told Julie that he had a severe pullback trauma in the past because the whole neck is muscled incorrectly. The knotted rope halters on a young horse do so much damage when they're on a patient's pole, or even a 3-month-old filly being haltered for the first time. And the handler is afraid that they're going to go over backwards. The cranial bones, which when they're adults, there's 26 separate cranial bones that fit together like a jigsaw piece puzzle. And the knotted rope halters, which is like cliff climbing rope that slides up behind the ears, grabs the back of the occiput and jams everything down and forward. But there's no give when that horse is in fight or flight struggle. 25 years ago, when we used the flat web halters with the cheap snap and rope and it broke and the horse ran away, there was less damage done to the horse. And since the knotted rope halters and the people that don't use the blocker and slide rings in training, there's more Cushing and uveitis prevalent because of all the damage done to the horse. They have headaches, they have vision issues. There's so much going on. They're not training in behavioral issues. And we teach about that in my level 3 class, where we actually reset the bones and bring them back up. You know, the Cushing is the pituitary and hypothalamus being stressed, and that is right under the brain. So if that whole area got jammed down and forward, compressing those organs, they're not able to function at 100%. You add the chemicals from the vaccines and wormers and thimerosal, which is 49% mercury and aluminum that are preservatives, and even a shot for dental floating, are all cancer-causing agents, and people are wondering why their horse has a tumor on the pituitary. So we're going to get into head, neck, and body. This horse also has first rib misalignment, both sides, presenting a short neck and heavy muscling in the rhomboid and trapezius area, which is right in front of the scapula and a little higher up. You can see the heavy muscling even when the horse is at rest, which is not a good sign. That's lactic acid in the muscles. Healthy muscle should be all soft. You shouldn't be able to see the cuts in the muscle on the horse's neck and shoulders and hindquarters. I used to do 50 miles a day, 4 days in a row on a little cute Arab gelding, and he was just big and round and soft anywhere. And anytime I felt a hard muscle, you have something to work out. But the lactic acid is showing me that the liver and kidneys are stressed and they're not able to process the lactic acid out of the muscles. So we're going to see, we're going to go up to the horse and then we're going to go up to the PowerPoint. Do you want to take the camera a little bit closer, Julie? Or the horse to the camera? You can bring whatever works.
I can't see, so let me know if he needs to be in a different position.
Yeah, so we're going to look at the head first. So remember how we talked about Just looking at the head and the balance of the nostrils and the eyes.
Yes.
So right there is a that on our right side, which is his left eye, it's dropped and pushed out, which we'll see on the PowerPoint in a minute. With his head down like that, I can see that his ears are crooked. The ear is the top of the TMJ. So when you're trying to do TMJ work, like in the Masterson method, on the side, you actually have to pull the ears up to open the top of the joint so the horse can actually chew sideways again. When the horses start chewing up and down, they get the big forehead muscles, and that's what makes the hooks and waves that needs the dental floating. So if we do the level 3 cranial decompression work, the teeth last longer and you only need to touch up teeth once in a while. Julie, can you kind of pull the forelock back a lot so we can see his forehead? And then just bring him about an inch closer. Hi, baby.
He hates slides. We
Yeah,
actually
that's all.
slide all day. Is that good?
Yeah, so on top of his eyes, you can really see the eyes offset now. Those muscles before his ears on each side are bigger than they should be. And then when those are the up down chewing muscles, the side will start to atrophy your masseter muscles. And if they're not chewing sideways and they're chewing up and down, you're creating all the hooks and waves, but you're also going to have digestive upsets because the horse is not grinding and masticating their feed. Thank you, Sadie. We're going to look at the feet just real quick. So if you want to tie them up, and we'll take the camera over and then we'll go to the PowerPoint. So I always have a PowerPoint with these so we can really look at the hoofs with arrows and stuff. This is just meeting the horse and then seeing the hoof and issues. And then I work with people. You can send me a picture. I can tell you that you didn't release the elbow, or first rib is misaligned, or if your horse is comfortable in his body, anytime they stop, they're going to stand square. And in the front, both front feet should be side by side, and in the hind, both hind feet should be side by side with one leg cocked as they're resting the hip. When we do clinics, all the horses that we worked on are over their tide standing square, and all the horses that we haven't are not standing square. On my endurance horse, if he was out in the pasture standing there snoozing and one foot was in front of the other, I knew I had something to go fix, or he's not going to make it for the next 50-mile endurance ride. You always want to do little tweaks every week that will help your horse last and be rideable through their 30s. The horse that is in my video for my classes, his name was Tiki, and he's 30 or 31 this year, and my friend has him in Penryn, California, and still lightly rides him on the trail. And he was on the racetrack till he was 8. He did thousands of miles of ponying horses and endurance rides. We did 2,000 arms in 2 years, and I was a heavyweight rider, meaning he was carrying over 215 pounds with tack. 41 completions of 50 miles or more in a day in 2 years with no vet pulls. That's why I took all these courses. So this was a performance horse. We're going to look at his feet better in the PowerPoint, but this is just how he's standing, jammed inside heel on the left front, which is on our right side. And jammed inside heel on his right front as well. And Julie, can you pull back and we do a side shot on this side now?
Of the feet?
Of the whole horse, yeah, with the feet and everything, just how he's standing.
Sure.
Hey, baby. How old is he now?
Coming 9 in April.
Yeah, and they're saying he's already having navicular changes on which foot?
The right, but
Okay.
but it was noted slight navicular changes on the left as well. And last October, he actually went lame on the left.
And he was originally in reining training, the sliding stops?
Yes, as a 2 and 3 year old. Well, even up until I bought him, he was still reining / ranch.
really hard on hocks, fetlocks, joints,
Yes.
and all that.
Yes.
Awesome. So Lisa, we're going to go to the PowerPoint. But so I can tell this horse had severe pullback both sides, both first ribs are misaligned, heels are too. The ilium bone is up in the hind end again, keeping the psoas in spasm, and the hocks are too close together.
Okay, does that look good? Can you see it? I need to
Yep.
maybe remove the spotlight. There we go.
And then we'll go to the next thing. Any questions before we get into the pictures? Go ahead and post them. This is just what we talked about, the slide on the left with the blue oval. Because of the damage pulling back when tied that hasn't been addressed, which is my level 1, 2, and 3 in a row, that neck would look totally different in a month if I worked on him. This horse is unable to break at the pole to get on the bit. So he's faking it and giving it out of C3. So that's why you see that heavy muscling up there. So there's nothing in his neck that is able to move or work correctly. And over tight neck muscles are going to compress the cervical neck bone. So you're going to start to get arthritis and U-neck. You can see a little bit of the U-neck, which is just heavier muscling because C5, 6, and 7 are too close together. When a muscle goes into spasm, it pulls tendon and ligament and bone. So if your neck couldn't move really well to do, your job, how are you going to perform? How well are you going to perform? Okay, we already talked about the heavy muscling that shouldn't be there on a horse that's relaxed. That's lactic acid, liver and kidneys not processing toxins. I recommend a product on Amazon. It's liquid zeolites, but it needs to be nanoparticles of zeolites, not powdered zeolites. It helps to pull out heavy metals and toxins, and passively, it works for people too. Cleanse the liver and kidneys so they can start assimilating nutrition. If your horse has bad hooves, it's because they're not able to assimilate their nutrition. So this screen is just about the neck on both sides. But he's still a sweet horse. He's still working. He's still giving everything that he can, but he's not going to make it very long. The neck and the shoulder and everything all tie in together. So front end leg lameness, is it starting in the rear? Is it starting in the front? Okay, and then go down to the next screen. So that's just the neck. But again, if your neck was stiff and hurt, okay, this is one thing some farriers do. They don't want to come back to put on another shoe, so they put on a really tight shoe. And you should have more shoe hanging out to the side so the hoof wall can come down and expand. These are contracted heels. And of course, you're going to have navicular changes in this. This is like you wearing stiletto heels that are too small and too tight. And can you perform in that? Okay, so I look at the hooves. The hooves tell me everything on the picture to the right. I did the big circle, the contracted heels. I was doing 50-mile endurance rides and someone picked up the vet and said, "Who's contracting your horse's heels?" Well, I was up in Washington and the farrier didn't want to have to come out and put on a shoe for free because the horse was running through the mud and pulled it off. But again, so if your horse is pulling front shoes with the hind, it's not time to slow down the hind. It's time to find out what in the front end is not able to pick up and move out of the way in time. And that's usually the first rib misalignment. It's out in all horses out there, and 98% of the body workers are missing it. That's why everything you pay to do with chiropractic and massage and beamers and PMS, it comes back. Well, my horse felt better for a week or two, and I can't keep affording to do this. So this is why I teach you guys how to do this. And on Amazon, you can find natural cellular defense in a little plastic bottle. Not the one in the glass. The NCD2 is too thick to pass the blood-brain barrier. And ACZ nano, Apple Charlie Zebra. Nanoparticles means it passes a dural tube to get into the brain to help pull out the toxins in the brain that's creating the tumor on the pituitary, hypothalamus, and your Cushing syndrome. So we decompress the head, and then we also pull out the toxins, shrinking the tumor, and most of the horses can get off the pergolide. So, but that's, sorry to skip to the head. But the detox will give you really good feet as well. So the white line, the crumbly hoof wall, the thin hoof soles is all because the liver and kidney is not able to assimilate the nutrition program that you're already giving the horse. You shouldn't have to add a hoof supplement. You need to make sure, same with people, you're clearing your liver and kidneys passively. Some detoxes can be pretty hard on you. And drinking lots of water so that you can fully assimilate your nutrition. So on the picture on the right, I had put what I would do if this was my horse. The worst thing that we can do is pull shoes off and just try to let him run barefoot. We're not getting that hoof ready. So when I was teaching in Arizona, there was a lot of diagnosed navicular horses, and they were going to put down this sweet 14-year-old mare. She was on contracted feet, is lame, had viral issues, all kinds of stuff. And I asked the owners, it's about $450 to fix her. If you want to put her in my class, we'll do all the work for free. You just have to buy the products. So they pulled the shoes. She could barely walk. We put her in the hoof soak for an hour, and she walked out sound. So my theory is to do the hoof soak 3 days in a row first to kill the white line fungal, anything in the frog. It also toughens up the sole. Once I started doing this, I didn't need to put shoes on anymore. So you want to get that hoof ready to come down to the ground. And the worst thing that I've seen on horses is the egg bar shoes with the metal across the heel that they do for navicular horses. And that frog is no longer getting the pump that it needs to get the toxins out of the hoof and the leg. And that frog pump is telling the body how much to grow. If a Mustang runs 100 miles and that frog's hitting the ground, it's stimulating the hoof, telling it to grow faster versus just standing in a stall. So when you do a thermograph on a hoof with egg bar shoes, it's cold and blue. There's no life force, energy, circulation in the hoof. If you have to put something over the frog, I like the frog concussion pads, but please stay away from the steel egg bar shoes. So if this was my horse, I would do the hoof soak, 45 minutes each hoof. I don't know if you can get them anymore. UC Davis soaker boots are always the best ones. They're pretty much indestructible. You just put the horse in cross ties or groom them. Make sure you fly spray the legs if you have flies so they're not stomping. I put the boots on first, empty, walk them around, make sure the horse isn't going to explode with the front boots on. And then I pour the solution in a little bit at a time. Epsom salt and trace minerals from Dynamite. It works as like a human foot bath detox. You can put that hoof soak recipe on a totally washed, clean foot, and 45 minutes later, when you pull it off, it smells like dead animal. That's how many toxins and everything it pulls out of the horse's hoof. So I would do that first for 3 days. I would take this horse barefoot and get a nice trim on it. You can look at the heel bulbs are way off, the feet are way off. If this was you and you were a performer, this would give you like arthritic feet, and that's the navicular bone changes that they're seeing. I would give them 3 weeks off. If you have a soft arena, you could ride them in lightly or turn them out. The Dynamite Balm product is really good for the coronary band. It's a hoof conditioner in summer. It's really great. You don't get the cracked, dry hooves, but it also balances the ting points on the meridian lines. You have 12 ting points in horses' hooves, and the front feet is heart, lung, large intestine, small intestine, triple heater, and pericardium. The front feet is all about digesting nutrition for power, wind and air, heart and pump, and stamina, and regulating body temperature. So if your front hooves are out of balance, you don't have your top performance horse. You have to have front balanced feet. I had a lady who was sponsored in barrel racing and winning, and her horse had hooves that were similar to this. I said, you can't keep doing that on this horse. And about 8 months later, she was one of my regular clients. I do something where if they stay on a monthly plan, I only charge like $75 a month to tune up their horse. The horse was injured in a front leg, and I said, bring him over. And we did the hoof soak and we pulled off the shoes, and she's following my regimen. And now she's sponsored in professional rodeo and she's doing it barefoot. So there is a way to compete on barefoot horses, but you have to address which my hoof soak does. And the balms by Dynamite is, they bought the mine. It's not a man-made product. It's minerals from the earth. It just really helps ground horses that jump sideways when they spook, but it really feeds the hoof to grow down and expand. Where the hoof hits the ground should be wider than the coronary band that it comes out at, not more narrow. And it's really depressing that the vets and people aren't saying things like that to the clients. So that talks about all his front end problems. And if his front feet hurt like that, that's going to go up into the shoulders and neck. You know, so you've got the pictures of the front and why he would have on the left side that arrow going, why he would have more lameness issues in his left front foot when you're looking at the column of the leg and the hoof that's growing out. So Lisa, can you do the next slide?
Yes, we also have a question about one of the attendees can't get the liquid zeolites in Hungary. Is there anything else that she could use?
Not that I know of. So Amazon is pretty much global because my people get it in Canada and Australia and everywhere else. You just want to look up liquid nano zeolite, Zeolites, and see where you can get it. So zeolites is when volcano hits seawater. It's a -2 crystalline cage, and it attracts all the bad heavy metals. So it's a passive detox. Pregnant brood mares, people on dialysis can take this and passively detox. It's a -2 crystalline cage that grabs everything that's bad plus 1, 2, and 3, but not 4, 5, 6, and 7, like your calcium, magnesium, potassium. So it just takes bad stuff out. If I go up to a horse that tied up at an event, and if you don't know what tying up means, the whole hind end butt muscles lock and the horse starts peeing what looks like blood because the muscle tissues through the kidneys, and vet treatment and IV bags and Banamine is needed, and the horse can still die within 48 hours. But every horse that I've gone up to at the 100-mile Tevis race or horse shows that are on IV bags and tied up, I said, so you wormed or vaccinated within the last 3 weeks? And they're like, well, yeah, because I'm coming to the show. What does that have to do with this? You stressed the liver and kidneys out so much they couldn't handle the lactic acid from the horse's stress of hauling to an event and staying somewhere new and, you know, performing anaerobic when you're running. So we do high doses of the zeolites with a horse that ties up every 2 to 3 hours to help pull all that out and clear the liver and kidneys as well. And for the Dynamite liquid trace minerals, the 3 products that I recommend from Dynamite is the Dynamite Release Spray, RELEASE. It's in a 4-ounce bottle. The 2-ounce Dynamite liquid trace minerals is the only thing I put in cuts and wounds. We'll be doing another webinar. We'll be looking for some people with cuts and wounds and stuff. But I do have a book, Horse 102, Holistic Alternatives, on Amazon for like $8 of what you would do. And it's also in my phone app, Holistic Horseworks Remedies, that's available in your app stores. So I'm really trying to get all this information to you, all the stuff that we have in our medicine chest and iodine and alcohol, and it just makes the skin cells worse and you get more scar tissue. And please don't ever cold water hose wounds. That's what makes the yellow-green pus, edema, and swelling that the bandages stick to, and the horse gets all pissed off. And I have so many vets saying, oh yeah, we're saline bodies. You should be washing a wound with saline solution like we do in operating tables. So please don't cold water hose your wounds. So anyway, getting back to the detox, the Dynamite liquid trace minerals and the Dynamite balm, BALM, you can call them 800-697-7434. Just tell them you're one of my clients and they'll ship it to you. They're like $32 or $34 each. Those are the 3 products that I really use a lot on horses. The trace minerals is the only thing I put in wounds to close it up. Like, again, that's in my book and in my app. So we're going to move on to the next screen. And while she does that, is there any questions about this? Okay. So this is that horse. This is his nostrils. Some horses have only taken one severe head trauma and one whole side of the face has dropped, the eye, the cheekbone, the nostril. When I see two different things going on, it means he's taken more than two. At the top, you can see the overdeveloped forehead muscles in front of his ears. You guys probably can't tell, but his left ear, which is on our right, is a little bit dropped and more pushed out. So when the halter comes up and pushes and they struggle, it actually changes where the ears are, which changes the gap that they have on the top of the TMJ joint and drops it. And that's your horse that's heavy on one rein. So, pulling on the rein, saying, give to the bit, we keep destabilizing that joint. You need to take a tape measure from the top of the horse's poll down to each lip line. So you would be measuring down from here to here, and you'll see that one side is a 1/2 inch to an inch lower. And when we shift the cranial bones in my level 3 class, then everything in the horse's head is more balanced, and everything in the head is everything in the hind end. The sphenoid, which is behind the eyes, okay, is your stifles. Your TMJ right here is your whole hind end. So if those are out of balance, you're always going to have hind end and stifle issues. You can see how on our right side, but his left eye is out, pushed out and dropped and kind of down a little bit. That'll be the eye that's always weepy, and the vet, even if they put the thing up inside the horse's nose, can't really flush out that tear duct. So that eye, when you're working the horse, will throb. And that's usually the eye that they drop and rub on the foreleg when you're riding them. If you're like relaxed or sitting there and they'll drop and rub their head on their foreleg, pay attention to, is it always on one side? And what starts the uveitis is anything with an itis is inflammation. So you already have a throbbing eye. If your eye was throbbing, you're rubbing it, right? Your hand's not always clean. So we're putting in dirt and stuff. And the horse might have fly spray on his face or on the forelegs. So then they're rubbing that into their eye as well. The inside corner of your horse's eye should be white, not pink. If it's pink, it's already inflamed. So if the vet is giving you steroids to take down inflammation, the horse owners are doing more damage with the pointy metal tube trying to get the medication in the horse's eye. But steroids is never a long-term fix for anyone that's had injections in shoulders or hips or anything. It's detrimental to tissue healing. So usually the uveitis process isn't getting better because you actually just need to move the eye back up, the lacrimal bone, so that the nerve to the eye in the back can get blood, oxygen, and circulation again. So this would be a horse like out on the trail that might spook. And, when your horse does spook, pay attention. Is it always at something on the left or the right? Because that's the vision on that side. So this horse is dropped on his left eye, our right side, but yet his right nostril is dropped. So he's had two different head traumas. So he'd probably be heavier. I wouldn't be able to tell you if he'd be heavier on left or right rein because of the nostril thing. Any questions about this? Okay, so go on to the next screen.
That's the last slide.
Okay. So anybody have any questions before we wrap up for today? Ooh, I don't want to be spotlighted.
You're the host.
Okay, so my email is april@holistichorseworks.com. We have something on Calendly where you can book a 15-minute call with me as well. I have the Holistic Horseworks Remedies app. We have a discount for anybody that has stayed through the program, and Lisa is going to share all that with you. And I'm going to type in the Dynamite phone number here.
Okay. Let me get this pulled up.
Just tell them April love. So the class is coming up before we jump into all of that. Right now, Lynn's doing most of I'm on Hawaii, so you can always fly to Hawaii, come learn from me. I'm doing West Coast and Lynn is in Indiana and doing East Coast. So I have a barn that wants me to go to Oregon. If you want to host one or find a barn in your area that would host one, but I need at least 6 paying students. And I really recommend doing level 1 and 2 and 3 in a row. And like when I took courses, a lot of them I didn't get study materials ahead of time, and you get to the class and you're just overwhelmed. When you sign up for one of my courses, you get links to all your homework. So there's like videos on the page and a workbook, and you're supposed to start studying before you even get to the class. And then you can call me, and when you get to the class, we fine tune your moves. So it's a gradual learning process because we're all overwhelmed. Some people learn by video, some people learn by reading. So I incorporated all of that. The classes are only 6 to 7 students. They're really small. They're really affordable. They're like $850 to $650. But it's really fun to take that one horse through all 3 levels and see the changes of the head, the stance, the posture, and the front legs go from 2 inches, to 4 or 5 inches apart, and the hind legs, and the whole change in the horse. And everybody says their farrier or trimmer notice a huge difference in the feet with 4 to 6 weeks because the horse is now standing correctly on the hoof. The hoof can now grow down to support the body. If you always have one hoof in front of the other, you're never going to have balanced feet no matter how much they cut, shoe, trim. So fix the body instead of paying all this money for special shoes. It's way cheaper. Any other questions? Okay. Yeah. Indiana, my instructor, she does it from her home. So she's doing small classes of 2 and 3, and she's even doing private ones. Her name is Lynn Reed, and she's a level 4 Pirelli instructor as well. And she's been teaching my program for over 10 years, and she is amazing. Netherlands, I do. So I have instructors in Lisette is in Netherlands. Trix is in Switzerland. Emily is in Belgium. Anne Barron is in Canada and does Sweden. I have Helene Colum that travels. She does Portugal and Ireland. I have Jean Whitebread in the UK. And I have Marissa Levitt. She's in Australia and she does New Zealand and South Africa. Yeah, I'm an in-person learner too. I can't get it from reading, but it's nice to have the 145-page workbook to go back to and read the explanation of the move. And you don't have to know equine anatomy to get my program, because that's what I would pay all this money to have my endurance horses worked on and ask them, how did my horse get this way? What is my homework? So I don't have to pay you to keep coming back. Well, I don't know, but here's your bill, and that's what was wrong with your horse. And I'm like, but I'm a balance rider. I ride bitless, I ride treeless. What's going on? I was training horses. And so that's why I decided to take all these courses. And I go, but you're missing this and you're missing this. And I had a client that had moved back to the area. Her horse had high-low syndrome, which is what the second horse that we had in the video today was talking about the high-low syndrome. And she got this horse really cheap, and we went through and fixed the horse, and she was top 10ing on 50-mile endurance rides and getting best condition horse. And the people that had sold her the horse had seen him and go, wow, he's doing really good. And how'd you get rid of that high-low syndrome? She's like, oh, April fixed him. And he lasted until he was 25, and she bought him when he was like 5. And she competed, but she had moved back to the area, asked me to tune up the horse 3 months before the hardest race on the planet, the Tevis 100-mile races, 16,000 feet of downhill trotting on rocky surfaces and 14,000 feet climb and heat and humidity and narrow trails. And I picked up the horse's feet, and the frog was all off center. I'm like, you're not doing a 100-mile race on these feet. Your horse's whole column is out of balance. And she didn't. She passed. She did it the next year, and she completed. So I'm the only one that looks at the nose, the tail, the teeth, How close are the hind legs? How is that heel? Why is that heel underslung in the hind? We're going to need to go up into the groin. My level 2 class, so level 1 is all the structural imbalances. Every horse has had first rib misalignment since 3 months of age. It starts the high-low syndrome. So that's level 1, fixing all the structure. And level 2 is all the damage and repercussions in the soft tissue and the pull from the pullback stress and the diaphragm and all the tweaking from a horse that got kicked or ran into a fence with its chest and the hind leg and the sore SI joint. If you ever have a horse that doesn't like to pick up the hind leg and come out, that's a really good indicator of sore SI joint, which is the sacroiliac joint in the hind end. We work on that in level 2. We work on kissing spine, uveitis, Cushing, and string halt in level 2 class. And I'm just reading, the message about Australia. So message me after, and I'll put you in touch with Marissa. She lives near Sydney, and she's got a class coming up. I almost missed the showing as I thought it started. Okay. Anyway, yeah. So anyone that's on this is getting a free replay. And anyway, and then level 3, we actually go in, and most cranial classes, up leisure or milne, are just energy work where you're just holding and trying to get some movement. We actually go in and manually shift and lift those bones and lift the ear and open the whole top of the TMJ joint. And then these muscles start to calm down, and the masseter muscles start to fill in again. And then the equine dentist, hopefully you're not using a vet and you guys are using an equine dentist, is saying, wow, the teeth are really good. I only needed to touch up 1 point, $75, please, instead of $250 to $300. Those power tools are so bad, and the heat and the friction, they crack the teeth and they just take them down too fast. And your whole top line can drop on your horse. Let's see, EPM. So you've got viral affecting inside the dural tube that isn't being addressed, from the possum poop or whatever else is going on. I do the long distance readings. It's only $100. If you buy the level 1 home study, which is $400, it comes with a distance reading, and we work on viral and bacterial issues affecting blood and brain, which is also gait abnormalities. Any other questions before we wrap up?
Thank you for joining us for Holistic Horseworks Live. We hope you'll join us for the next show scheduled for the first Wednesday of every month at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. Now we have some amazing horse care resources for you. First up, our free Horse 101 ebook. Everything you wish you had known before you got your first horse, and many aha moments for experienced horse owners. Available at horseacademy101.com. Next, to get 24/7 horse care help, right in your pocket, download the Holistic Horseworks Remedies app. Available on Google Play and the App Store. You'll have access to comprehensive guides and solutions for a wide range of equine health challenges, right there at the barn, on the trail, or whenever you need it most. Want to learn how to read horses just like April? Check out this #1 bestseller in horse care on Amazon, What I See When I See a Horse, a book about learning to see beyond the surface of a horse. This book will forever change how you perceive and care for horses. And if you're ready to dive deeper, we've got 2 paths for you. Holistic Horseworks online courses let you learn how to help your horse yourself at home. And they include bonus offers like a free equine distance reading and a 30-minute consultation with April Love, very much like what you just saw today. Or, if you want the best Holistic Horseworks experience, join us at one of our hands-on clinics. We have clinics all over the world where you'll get real hands-on experience with real horses. And finally, here's a special offer just for joining us today. Use coupon code LIVE75, LIVE75, to get $75 off our Level 1 Equine Musculoskeletal Unwinding online course. Visit HolisticHorseWorks.com to redeem this offer. If you want an even bigger offer, make sure you join us for the next Holistic Horseworks Live, where we share even bigger discounts just for our guests. It's on the first Wednesday of every month at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. Register for free at HolisticHorseWorks.com/live.